President Donald Trump announcing just moments ago that the United States and the European Union reached a framework for a trade deal after his talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at his Turnberry Golf Club in Scotland. Let's listen in on that.
But for the most part, it was closed. And now it's open. It's open for our companies to go in and do a good job with it. I think you'll like them. I think you'll like it. And we will, very importantly, they'll be investing a lot of money, but the military is a big number, but that's one number we're not determining. It's going to be whatever it is, but they're going to be purchasing hundreds of billions of dollars worth of military equipment. They're very importantly, they're going to purchase $750 billion worth of energy. So that's going to be great. And $600 billion worth of investments into the United States over and above what they have. So, and I think that basically concludes the deal. I mean, those are the main factors. I don't think there are too many other factors, other than we're going to get along great. And we have a great relationship now with NATO, which is largely the same. I mean, not exactly, but pretty close, right? Largely. And with NATO, as you know, they're going up to 5% from 2%. And the relationship is very strong with NATO. So I just want to congratulate you. I think it's great that we made a deal today instead of playing games and maybe not making a deal at all. I think it's, I'm going to let you say, but I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We have a deal. We have a trade deal between the two largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. It's 15% tariffs across the board, all inclusive. The investments Mr. President just described that are going to go to the United States and the purchases over there. Indeed, basically, the European market is open. It's 450 million people. So it's a good deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
It was tough negotiations. I knew it at the beginning, and it was indeed very tough, but we came to good conclusions for both sides. So again, congratulations and many thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions, please?
How did you come to a deal so quickly? Did the European Union come there and get
I think we both wanted to make a deal. You know, you said something that is very important. It's going to bring us closer together. I think this deal will bring us very close together, actually. Sort of, it's a partnership in a sense, but it's a very good point, and it's something that's very important.
But was there one issue that you need to get over the hurdle?
No. We had 4 or 5. No, not pharmaceuticals. I mean, we're going to be, as you know, a lot of companies are coming into the U.S., and that's unrelated to this deal. But it's, I think we you know, this didn't just start today. We had a meeting. I wasn't sure. I said 50-50. I think you probably felt the same thing. But this started months ago, this negotiation. So we knew pretty much what we were getting into. And we were able to make a deal that's very satisfactory to both sides. So it's a very powerful deal. It's a very big deal. It's the biggest of all the deals. It will be the biggest of all the deals. So we're very honored to have done so. And your staff has been fantastic, and they worked together long and hard.
They worked hard and long, and many thanks to the teams on both sides. There was, as I said at the beginning, a heavy lifting you had to do. But many thanks also for the talks we had many times on the way to our goal. And now we made it, and that's good. It's really good.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for the EU Commission President. What are the U.S. concessions? What is the U.S. giving up in the deal, if anything?
So as the starting point was an imbalance, a surplus on our side and a deficit on the U.S. side. And we wanted to rebalance the trade relation. And we wanted to do it in a way that trade goes on between the two of us across the Atlantic, because the two biggest economies should have a good trade flow between us. And I think we hit exactly the point we wanted to find. Rebalance, but enable trade on both sides, which means good jobs on both sides of the Atlantic, means prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic, and that was important for us.
And again, the energy is a very important component because we have more energy than anybody else in that sense. And I think it was very wise that they buy a lot of energy, and it's great stuff, and it solves a lot of problems. So that was a great decision, I think.
What about steel? What are you doing?
On what?
Steel.
Steel is staying the way it is. The steel and aluminum, et cetera, that's a worldwide thing. That stays the way it is.
We have
Chips? Did you discuss that as part of the agreement? Chips?
Chips is, Howard, you might want to describe the chips, please, if you would.
Well, the expectation is in 2 weeks' time, we're going to come out with our CHIPS 232, and that was one of the key reasons that the European Union came to talk to the president to try to resolve all things at one time. And well, I'll let you wait for the 2 weeks until you get to announce your plan. But we are going to be bringing chip manufacturing back to the United States of America.
We'll be doing a lot of chips. A lot of companies are coming in from Taiwan and from other places into the U.S. And they're doing that in order to avoid tariffs. And the president really avoided the tariffs in a better way for them, much better way, much more conclusive. I think probably much more profitable, definitely much more profitable, and got a lot of benefit from it. So it was a very interesting negotiation. I think it's going to be great for both parties. I think your various countries are very happy about this.
Is there an industry in the U.S. that you see maybe having the first impact of getting into this market that was not accessible before, whether it's auto? What's the first call you made?
Yeah, I think cars. Cars basically were not invited. Were not. I don't know if the word is not allowed or just you just kept them out somehow, right? But cars will be. We have some cars that do terrific business, and we do really well with the pickup trucks, with the SUVs. We have some great things, and I think the people of Europe will have some diversification. I think that'll make them happy. So I think maybe cars would be the one that would go the biggest, and the second would be agriculture, the farmers. And we'll do it in very strict conjunction with the president and the European Union. And they're coming into our country with great vigor. And I think they're going to make a lot of money with this. I think everybody is. I think and again, it's going to bring a lot of unity and friendship. It's going to work out really well. Okay?
What's the next deal you're focused on now?
Say it.
What's the next deal you're focused on now?
That's an interesting question. This was the big one. This is the biggest of them all. We're looking at deals with 3 or 4 other countries. But for the most part, I can't get them to understand that it's the letter. We just sent that letter, and that letter is, very universal for most. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do this. You wouldn't have the time or the patience to be able to do a deal like this. Most of the others are going to be a certain tariff, and we're going to keep it as low as we can. They're generally smaller countries or countries we don't do much business with. But that they've already received, to a large extent, they've received a letter. They'll probably receive a letter of clarification or a confirmation type letter, which will go out sometime during this week, prior to August 1st. And the tariffs will start being paid by those countries prior to August, on August 1st and beyond. Okay?
Mr. President, was part of the rush to get this deal done to knock the Jeffrey Epstein story out?
Oh, you got to be kidding with that. No, had nothing to do with it. Only you would think that. That had nothing to do with
On a
it.
day which is good for European business and American business, businesses in this country, particularly small businesses, are closing at a record rate. And you'll see the Prime Minister tomorrow, Keir Starmer. What does he need to do to help British business in this country?
I think everybody's going to be happy with this. The Prime Minister of the UK, while he's not involved in this, will be very happy because, there's a certain unity that's been brought there too. We have a separate deal with them, but I think he's going to be very happy to know. Look, he's friendly with all of you. I think he's a very good man, and he's going to be very happy to see what we did. I think UK is going to be very, very happy. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Essentially not that we can think of. Thank you.
Well, we continue to cover our breaking news. A major trade deal struck with the European Union just moments ago. The president emerged from a high-stake trade meeting with the EU leaders and announced that the two sides have reached the framework for this trade deal. It comes just days before Trump's massive 30% tariffs were set to kick into place for European imports if a deal wasn't reached. CNN's Jeff Celeny joins us now from Scotland. And Jeff, we heard the president say that the deal with the European Union was, quote, the biggest deal he's ever made. What more can you tell us about it and the speed in which it was secured?
Look, the bottom line is a transatlantic trade war has been averted. The EU is the largest trading partner of the United States. The stakes were quite high going into this meeting, but the deal was also nearly done going into this meeting. That clearly was about an hour-long meeting or so, and you clearly don't work out all these details in an hour-long meeting. So this was designed to be announced at the Trump Turnberry Golf Resort here in Scotland, but it is significant all the same. It's a 15% across the board tariffs on autos, on other goods. Pharmaceuticals are not included in this, and that is a big part of the imports into the U.S. From a European company. So very significant. The EU also, countries also agreeing to purchase U.S. Military equipment, also agreeing to purchase some supplies of energy and other goods. So this effectively is a higher rate than the EU is paying before, but it is a lower rate than the threat of 30% tariffs. So now we are finally, after 6 months of this administration, starting to see some of these deals come into shape. Japan was last week, and now this EU deal, very significant as well, with 15% levies across the board. But look, the threat of those higher tariffs has worked in this case, and the EU agreed to that 15% margin. So we saw the president there meeting with the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, here, and a warm relationship, which they have not always had, but clearly it was a deal that President Trump wanted to announce here and make here in Scotland.
And speaking on that, Jeff, how big of a political windfall was this for the president to secure this deal?
Well, look, I think it's just one more example of the trade policy that he has implemented. And if the EU had not agreed, well, then the 30% tariffs would have gone into effect. So a political win in terms of getting a headline and seizing a deal, which is a very important deal. We should point out 15% tariffs across the board. Some European companies, and again, this is just happening in real time here, so we'll have to wait and see the reaction. It's higher than many companies and countries would have liked, but again, it avoids the threat of that 30% tariff. So this is certainly a political win for the U.S. president. There's no doubt about that. But as we learn more about the specifics of the detail of the deal, we'll be able to add some meat to the bones, if you will. But clearly, and some companies and others are scrambling to sort of figure out what the actual tenets of the deal are. But announced there at the Trump Golf Resort on a Sunday afternoon. And this meeting was not actually scheduled to be on the president's agenda, at least publicly, but it was added to it because the officials clearly knew that they were close to reaching a deal. And look, the incentives were very clear for the EU to try and reach this, because that 30% threat of a tariff, should that have gone into effect on Friday, that would have been devastating for so many businesses here.
And what do you think a deal like this means for tariff negotiations with other countries? Are they watching this and thinking, I better fall in line?
There's no doubt about that. That is a very good point. I mean, Japan, first and foremost, now this. The UK also has reached a deal. So, again, a little more than 6 months on into this Trump administration, the tariff policy has been one of the more interesting factors of this presidency. It has not roiled the markets in a long-term way, as many predicted it would. Prices have gone up because, of course, a tariff is a tax that is passed on to the consumer in most respects. But it has not shaken the financial markets as much as many analysts and critics thought it would. So, but it definitely does send a message to other countries to step in line and try and make a deal, get a better deal than the threat coming from the Trump administration, which again was for some 30%. But there's really been a wave of uncertainty across businesses, really around the world, in terms of this on-again, off-again tariff and trade policy. So it adds a bit of certainty to that. But again, it's a 15% tariff, which is significantly more than was paid previously to this. But again, not as much more as would have happened if they had not reached this agreement here today, Isabel.
And what is on the president's agenda, especially as we look forward to this meeting he has tomorrow with Keir Starmer? And does the speed of this deal, the success of this deal for the president, do you think that elevates his confidence as he deals with these leaders?
Well, look, I mean, the meeting that's scheduled to take place tomorrow and into Tuesday morning with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is about far more than a trade. The UK-US trade deal has largely been already inked, but global challenges, first and foremost, Gaza, the humanitarian crisis happening there, that is a leading topic of discussion at that bilateral meeting tomorrow, as well as the ongoing war with Ukraine and Russia. The British Prime Minister has been heartened by the U.S. president's recent tough talk, if you will, and tough language against Vladimir Putin. He has given him a number of weeks to essentially come to the negotiating table. We'll see if that happens. But this is sort of separate and apart from the meeting that is scheduled to place tomorrow. This entire trip, it's the President Trump's fifth international trip, and certainly one of the more interesting ones in the sense that it was largely set up as a golf trip to start out. The main agenda item, initially the White House described this as a private visit, and his main agenda was to open a golf course on Tuesday that's named in honor of his mother, who, of course, is from Scotland. But along the way, of course, so whenever the U.S. president is on European soil, leaders, of course, are eager to meet with him. So this trade deal was important, but tomorrow the meeting with the British Prime Minister, also so many issues to discuss. And, of course, this just sets the table for the official state visit when President Trump comes back in September to meet with King Charles in a ceremonial visit in the UK, Isabel.
Jeff Zeleny, thank you so much for your analysis. We appreciate it. And we'll be right back after this brief break. We'll have more on this breaking news. You're watching CNN Newsroom.